Hello, welcome to the podcast, name pending. In this podcast, we are going to talk about the concept of content vaulting that Destiny 2 introduced, but it's also been around for a while longer, and why Destiny 2 can get away with it when other companies haven't done the same thing.
Yep, that pretty much sums up how I would have imagined it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so that works as a good enough intro.
Yeah, the name pending, good. it'll come
Can't
in.
actually call it that.
Yeah, no, it'll come in later.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
The pride and joy of one of my most played games.
How many hours do you have in it again?
2,000 plus, probably in the
2,000.
2200 range, probably.
And you're saying that's just through Battle.net, right? Or was that just through Steam?
I think through Steam we're on like almost 1,600 hours, and Battle.net I think I can probably add 900 hours. So yeah, we're probably over the 2,500 hour mark actually.
Jeez.
And the most ridiculous thing is like there's not 2,500 hours worth of content at the time, or even 900 hours on Battle.net. Like I was just doing the same thing over and over again. I became a PvP Andy for a long time because that's all there was to do.
Yeah.
But once when Bungie came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna remove a bunch of stuff in the game," the entire community just kind of went up in arms.
Yeah, and that's because it's kind of an unprecedented move. Like, there's from my side, I haven't played Destiny 1 or 2, and so just to hear from the outside perspective of an MMO is removing old content, specifically like the expansions that people paid for, it was like, wait, they can do that? That feels like a so against the rules type of thing that I couldn't even comprehend it happening.
Yes, it was really like it came really unprecedented because we at that point when they did the whole content vaulting, it was after the Beyond Light expansion came out. It's the one that came just before the new one that came out to Witch Queen here in February. But when they launched Beyond Light, they came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna remove all the classic campaigns." And this came along with a system they made called sunsetting, which and that removed an entire other part of the game that was still in the game, because like all the guns you had gotten from previous expansions that were getting sunset, they were just like, yeah, they're power capped now, so you can't actually like level them up to the current content level.
Wait, I didn't know they did that too. All I knew about it is that I kept confusing Destiny 1 and 2 together. I thought the content vaulting thing started in Destiny 1, but it didn't. Right?
Oh no, Destiny 1 was that just stayed in its entirety with like the Vault of Glass and all this stuff coming out, like that, everything stayed in that game, but they didn't do as much with it. Like there's already like 4 times as much stuff in Destiny 2. But like in one way I could kind of see why they did it, but at the same time it's just like they had to work fast after they announced it.
What are the specific stats? Like do you know how many expansions they did for Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2?
I think Destiny 1 got 3. They got Wrath of the Machine, and I didn't actually play Destiny 1. I wasn't introduced to it until Destiny 2, funnily enough. I tried Destiny 1 way back in the day, and I was so adamant that it was going to be a bad game that I was just like, I'm going to stick to my guns and not play it, even though I would probably have loved it. And I was just so adamant about it. But I think they got 3. I would think the last one was Wrath of the Machine, and that's where they really came into the whole like world first racing and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one thing I remember with Destiny 1 is that they did their first expansion and everyone thought it was okay, and then they did the second expansion, which was it was almost like a hard reset of the story, and everyone was like, whoa, wait, Destiny's story is good now?
Yeah.
Which is why people were then excited for Destiny 2, and then launched the same way that Destiny 1 did.
But it's like Destiny 2's original campaign was like, it was a good benchmark for the story. It introduced you to all the necessary characters, like the leaders of the certain guardian types, like the Titans, the Warlocks, and the Hunters. It introduced you to all of their stuff. And then they came, and very shortly after, it was like 2 months after, they came out with 2 mini expansions. Not a little bit bigger than a season pass, a little bit and smaller than a big expansion like the Forsaken that came out a couple of years later.
Yeah.
Because like the small expansions, the Curse of Osiris and Warmind, Curse of Osiris was taken so harshly. People crapped all over it. They did not care for it.
What was the round about the time when they started to introduce the content vaulting? Like, how many expansions had come out by then?
By that time, we had gotten the Forsaken, which was probably the biggest expansion they've ever done for either of the Destiny games. Like the most fulfilling, both campaign and other activities and stuff like that came into the game.
Yeah.
But then they also came out with Shadowkeep. Where they introduced another planet. But that's fun. The Shadowkeep is basically a whole rehash of Destiny 1 because the moon was from Destiny 1 and they just reintroduced all of that.
That's right, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
It was just it was basically just like, hey, here's a original Destiny 1 idea, but we'll just give it to you here. But I mean, people enjoyed it. The dungeon that came with it, the 3-person activity was good. The raid that came with it was pretty decent. And then after that, the third expansion was Beyond Light. Yeah. And at that point, it was when they decided to start doing the content vaulting because the developers were starting to believe that the game was going to be too large in size.
Yeah.
And they did act like there was a lot of activities in the game. Like I was running 3 full characters, like 1 of each, and that was the max. And I had all of them maxed out. I did everything every week on them for rewards, and it was a 5-6 day endeavor to finish everything.
Yeah. But to me, the reason why I picked wanted to do content vaulting as the first topic for this is because even now, to me, the idea of content vaulting seems like such a alien an unjustifiable thing. Like, people complain about the size of games a lot, like especially with the recent Call of Duties that have been coming out, where they're 200 gigs for the game, which is like just absolutely asinine. But they don't delete content from the games, and I'm not a big MMO player. The only MMOs I've ever played were Elder Scrolls Online and Star Wars: The Old Republic. And both of those are really massive MMOs with like 1 million different expansions. And both of them haven't deleted any of their content. And so I've never been able to understand why Destiny, quote unquote, had to do that. Because, yeah, maybe their game sizes are much bigger due to the graphics engine or the uncompressed sound, which is a really common reason for games being so big. That's why Call of Duty's file size is so big. It's because they don't want to compress their precious audio. But I don't know. I can't think of a reason that is justifiable enough to say, yeah, you know, that paid expansion that you paid for, you just can't play it anymore.
Oh yeah,
in Elder Scrolls and Old Republic, you can play everything from whenever the game first launched. You can do the whole story mode and all the old expansions. You can do everything.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my piece.
Yeah, like as for like the pros of doing content vaulting, it's just like it's very behind the scenes, I guess, for doing it, because it's like some people have said like it allows the developers to more efficiently maintain the game and update it with new content, but I'm like, you can still do that even if because you know what you've vaulted, and if you release stuff that's the same, it's just like, why didn't you just keep that in and do something fresh? Yeah. So from that standpoint, with new content like and releasing it, I don't get the point. But they were also saying like, or Bungie said themselves, it's like so they can respond faster to player feedback due to less overall content, but they can also just look at player feedback and then be like, hey,
Yeah.
Let's do that. But also remove, like they were also talking about, hey, we're gonna remove content that players are not engaging with. Fair point. Some other content was literally not played at all after the relevant season was over.
See, to me, even if it's content that no one is playing, it's still, unless it's like a specific event type of thing. If it's like a Halloween event or a Christmas event, I get removing those because it's supposed to be like a seasonal event thing. But if it's just a mode that you decide to delete because, well, people aren't really playing it, but what if someone then in the future does want to go and play it? They're just screwed. They can't do it anymore because the dev decided to delete it.
Yeah, like my massive gripe is it's going to kind of struggle to bring in new players for me.
Yes, exactly.
Because at the same, like they did a lot of stuff at the same time. They vaulted all that content. The first 3 major campaigns, they vaulted a lot of seasonal content, made a lot of really loved guns unavailable. And then when new people came in with the new light thing, which was like the new when they made this like base game free to play.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like you're kind of alienating all those new players who don't get to experience those campaigns that kind of set up the entire game lore-wise.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like it's a big contributing factor to a lot of people if they're going to invest time in your game or not, like knowing the story. Like if they just get jumped in halfway through and it's kind of like half baked, they're like, what's going on? Why did this guy die? Oh, what's this guy?
Yeah, that's what completely turned me off from ever playing it. When I saw you playing it before, and I thought it might be fun to play something together like that. But then I remember, oh yeah, all these content pieces they've just decided to get rid of. So even if I play the new expansion, I'll just be lost like a chicken with its head cut off. I won't know what's going on. Whereas in SWTOR, which is again the most recent one I've played, you can play that original campaign that came out and all of their original expansions, and you can play the new stuff.
Yeah, because
you can be as fully caught up as you want.
Yeah, because it gives you like a full overview. Because for me, like when I join a new MMO or other games, I like to get the whole story because I actually I'm interested in like game story and lore and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I like to know like why I'm doing what I'm doing in the game. How is my character moving the story forward? And Destiny 2 players just don't get that now.
Yeah, if you try and play it now, so you can play the base game.
You can play the base game, but you just get some foofy new light campaign that they made and it's basically just a really half-baked thing to like introduce them to all the systems in the game. It's not like an actual like, oh, the Red War, the Cabal, this is the main guy, you defeat him. It's just like go to talk to this guy and then do like 3 patrol missions. Like they just give you like a rundown of all the systems. It's not really a campaign. Because I went back to do it as like a test because I didn't obviously need to do it because I knew everything in the game.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see like what are new players getting when they come in, and it's just like they're getting nothing. They're not getting moved forward at all. Like once they're done with that campaign, they just get thrown in and here you go. There's no campaign to do other than the new one.
Which is, it's just, I still can't really comprehend it. I can't think of another game that has done similar, because I mean, there's obviously in where we are in the game industry right now with all these live services coming out, you have you've games like H1Z1, I think, which is shut down now. But you have a bunch of other live services like what was that battle royale that came out?
There's Player Unknowns.
No, PUBG's still going. It was that that like really rubbish 80s looking one that lasted like a day and then shut down. I can't remember the name of it, but point just being that with all the live services that we have now, unless they succeed, they get shut down. And that's the whole game gets shut down. You can't play the entire game anymore, which is somewhat related, but that's almost its own different thing. This content vaulting is like, it's not a case of, well, our game wasn't successful, so we had to shut it all down. It's Destiny 2 is really successful. They just decided, yeah, we're going to delete it.
Yeah,
people aren't playing it. We want to cut down the size of the game, so we decide you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, it's just that like a lot the stuff they removed. Some of the stuff they removed was just like I don't understand why, because it just kind it was like some of the stuff they removed. It's like I get it because it's just kind of a rehash of some of the other things they did. Like they started doing seasonal like game modes that was just like a 6-player PvE activity.
Yeah.
And they started that in like way early on. This was back in all the way back in Forsaken actually. They started that with the Menagerie, which was like the biggest mind blown thing they did, and everyone loved it. And they just kind of took that and then ran with it and just kind of rehashed it every time, but every time it was just worse. Right. It was kind of like, you know, bringing up things like for example games where you make one and then you just try and recreate it time and time again. It's just never like Guitar Hero 3. They try to remake those kind of things through all the other ones and it just never happened. You never get the same feeling again like the first time you were like, fuck yeah, this is it.
Yeah. And people liked it the first time, so they'll like it again.
People liked it the first time, so they'll like it again the 8th time.
The 20th time.
Yes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, there's a quote from the movie Dumbo, of all things, where he's like, if people laugh at someone falling from 10 feet, they'll laugh twice as hard from someone falling from 20 feet.
That is
like, no, that's not how that works.
That's pretty much the consensus. And it's so horrifying how many games actually do this.
Oh, yeah.
Developers see like a thing, like they hit the nail on the head one time and then they keep on slamming that nail even though it's all the way in until they just absolutely butcher it.
I mean, that's what live services are now. They go through all these trends. It was Battle Royale for a while. No, sorry, it was hero shooter with loot boxes for a while. Then that got old and the Battle Royale took over. Then that got old and now it's just live service game.
Like the free-to-play model with battle passes and stuff is just kind of taken over in that regard.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can kind of say like battle passes is pseudo content vaulting because if you don't play, you don't get to they don't put it back again most of the time.
Yeah, to me, that's a really good point. That I've never really liked battle passes for that reason.
It's like if you take a break from a game and then you come back, it's like, oh, that was pretty cool. But it'll never come back again. But if it does, you're going to have to pay $10 for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, really?
It's that's somewhat of a different thing, though, because most times stuff that's in a battle pass, it'll be like a gun cosmetic or a character cosmetic or something.
Yeah.
It's not like an expansion of game content.
Because with Destiny's, like they've stated now, this is after I quit playing, that they're gonna keep doing content vaulting with every expansion. So like with this new expansion, I didn't even know this until I read about it like the other day. Actually, I went in to see like what are they doing, and they've just axed the entire first expansion, the Forsaken one, which was like a pivotal story in the game, and people can't play it now. Because that's where the hunter class leader dies. And he's like a beloved character from Destiny 1 as well. And people are always like, okay, what happened to him?
Yeah, and that is just... Like, I can't even put into words how crazy that is. It's like, why would you even bother playing any of the... Not only just the game, but any of the new expansions that they bring out? Because it's like, well, they're going to delete it in like a year anyway, so what's the point in me having played it?
Yeah, but the worst part is because like I got the deluxe edition of the Forsaken expansion at the time, which was €70. The base game €40 is kind of like that was the standard pricing for Destiny expansions. But like if I add up how much money that they've vaulted that I've spent, which just kind of feels like, you know, time and money taken for granted from the players.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 mini expansions that were removed, they were like $15 a piece. I think I bought them in a bundle for like €24 or something like that. But that's €25, I think. And then €70, that's already €95 that's been taken away. And then we take like several I wrote down here, it's like 7 seasons that is gone. And those are that's €10 a pop. So that's 70, so that's €165 worth of content that I've paid for.
And you just can't go back and play again.
Yeah. And the worst part is, like, a lot of the stuff, like the guns that were introduced, like exotic weapons, which is a massive deal in Destiny.
Yeah.
Because they have like a perk that's specific to that weapon that makes it unique.
Yeah.
They did, like, there was some of them had big quest lines or like puzzle missions that were with like hidden endings, so you didn't know how to get through it until you did it. And some of them could take 3 hours, and then when you perfected it, it took like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
But like now they just put them in a store and you can just get tokens and buy it. And it just
because that's totally the same thing, right?
Totally doesn't take the fun out of it.
Yeah, you get to play this cool expansion that they put time writing a story into. You can just buy it from the store. Yeah, you don't even have to play the content. You just buy the gun. Who cares?
And when they vault, there's a raid called Scourge of the Past that they vaulted that had an exotic weapon in it. I did that raid like 50, 60 times to try and get this exotic weapon. I did it 3 times a week.
Wow.
Because you had 1 weekly reward on every character.
Yeah.
So I did it 3 times a week for like 15 weeks. But this weapon was so meta defining. It was, if you weren't using this in raids and other things like that, in dungeons, strikes, you were throwing basically.
Right.
And they removed this, so all the new players that came into the game couldn't get it, so they were all immediately just like booted whenever they tried to join anything, because no one wanted to play with people that didn't have it.
Yeah, that's a great meta to go into.
But for me, like, before it was removed, like when new players came in and they were like, oh, I can't get a raid group, I've run that raid hundreds of times to help people like get their loot rewards and try and get it. So I think I've helped like 70, 80 players get this gun just so they could actually play the game.
To me, content vaulting would be a different situation if it was the player who could decide it. Because one of the things that Call of Duty did add in eventually, when enough people complained about the game size being too big, was that they said, okay, fine, if you want to just have the Battle Royale Warzone mode, you can just install that. You don't have to install the rest of it. Which, I mean, it doesn't fix the problem of the game size being way too massive, but it does give you something at least.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which would then work fine if Destiny did that. If you want to have all the old expansions and stuff, because in case you want to go back and play them, you can keep them, and if someone just cares about the most recent thing, they can deinstall the old one and bring it back in the future if they feel like it. Like, that's what most downloadable packs are now, whether it's through the PS Store or on Steam. You can enable or disable whether you want a DLC installed or not.
You on Steam you can just check or uncheck a DLC and it's gone or there. And
that would be the perfect way to solve it. But with them deciding for you, it's
I think it's just bad etiquette towards your player base, really. Like, it's really disrespecting people's time used and money spent.
Which, that seems to be the key thing that I've heard from Destiny. Like, the one content creator that I watch who talks about Destiny is Skill Up. If you know who he is.
I know who he is.
Yeah, he makes those weekly news videos, and he, whenever a Destiny expansion comes out, he talks about it. And whenever he does talk about it, it feels like every time it's like, well, I liked some stuff in this expansion, but it's worse than the worst one. It's worse than the previous one. And it feels like that's the repetition, and that Bungie hates their customers due to how they're treating them with content vaulting.
Yeah, but it's also like the worst thing that, like, right after the content vault, the first raid they came out with, or the second raid they came out with, they come out with a raid from Destiny 1. They don't give us a new one that we haven't seen before. They literally just remade one from Destiny 1 into Destiny 2 and changed it by like the thinnest margin possible.
Nice.
So they removed like fresh content that came in Destiny 2 and gave us something that came out like 7 years ago.
And you can still go back and play because they haven't content vaulted it.
Yeah, no, like because there some of the bigger streamers, like a guy called Swetsicle, he would go back and play Destiny 1 occasionally.
Yeah.
So they can still go back and play that raid in Destiny 1 with their friends.
That's I didn't even know about that. That's just oh my god, I can't put words to that. That's just crazy. We're going to delete stuff from our new game and then put in something from the old game that you've probably already played and can still go and play.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know what else to add with this content vaulting thing, because it seems like every justification that Bungie tries to come up with as to why they do the content vaulting is like, that's not good enough. It's clear that's an excuse. It's not an actual reason.
Yeah, because every time they try to explain their way out of it, it's pretty much just overshadowed by the fact, like, of all the bad things that came from it. Like, they can try and put a good a spin on it as they want, but it'll always be overshadowed by how much they alienated their player base.
Yeah. With you saying that it's so they can try and listen to player feedback more. Yeah, we vault our old content so we don't have to focus on the old content and we can focus on making the new, because we care about our fan base. And because we care about our fan base, let's put in an old Destiny 1 raid that they've already played.
Yeah, that is just confusing to me. And it was confusing to everyone in my clan, because I was in a clan of like 30, 40 people at the time when I was playing, and at the height before I quit. And like, we were all just so confused. Did we play it a lot anyways? Yes. But that was because that's what there was. And we loved the game, and we really wanted it to like still be good, but it just kept on declining.
That's one of the big issues with it, and kind of what one of the things that SkillUp ever mentions in his videos is that he brings up the point that this expansion was worse than the last one, and Bungie is being more scummy than ever. And then he'll go on to say, but Destiny 2 is one of the best video game experiences you can have, and you should play it right now. And it's like that's kind of exactly what they want. They won't care if you complain about the content vaulting if you go back and play the game.
Yeah. Like, the only thing that was like worth a damn, sort of, was like the season passes that they put out. It was like, get to level 100 and get all these cool like guns, cosmetics and stuff like that, or make guns unlockable and gettable from activities. But the worst part is, like, they didn't check what activities you could XP farm from, so I would finish that in a day and then I wouldn't care about the season.
Yeah.
Like, you finished everything in like 2 weeks. The seasons lasted 3 months, and the one before this most recent expansion, they just kind of gave up and was like, hey, we're going to focus on the new expansion and just give you guys this season for 6.5 months. That's why I quit.
Like the one game that I play that is pseudo live service and also has the company treating its customers like crap is GTA 5, or more specifically GTA Online. And to me, when I play it, I know that it is not a good thing to play because, I was going to say Rockstar, but technically Take-Two, because they're owned by Rockstar, but Rockstar has to do some of it too, that they are like some of the scummiest out there out of anyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if you want to play those very first heists that they introduced, like 5 years ago, you can go play it, and people still do play it all the time. I don't anymore, but you can if you want to.
I think like probably this is like 6 months ago, I went back and played the old original campaign from GTA 5 in the single player mode.
Yeah.
Just for funsies.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, for me, like, GTA 5 got kind of stagnated over time because it's like they're adding stuff, but it's like it's not very game defining anymore like it used to be in online.
No, it's
a lot of for me it's a lot of rehashing with the bunker and the submarine and stuff like that. Like, edit your guns, edit your cars, the whole Apocalypse Now vibe, Mad Max style thing.
Yeah, they'll add in stuff that I like, like the most recent like Need for Speed racing-esque stuff, but even then, most new content that they introduce is like, okay, what's the new excuse we can have to increase the money meta? Because you can go back and play the old content if you want. Like, you can play the very original missions before heists were even introduced, those rubbish missions to make money. You can go play them if you want, and you'll make like nothing from it. You can still go play it, which is nice, but no one will go play it. They just play the new stuff because the new stuff is mostly the one that'll give you the most money, because GTA has inflation like real life does.
Yeah. I remember starting GTA and it was just like, hey, you need like 50K for this. Like, okay, cool. Now you need like millions for everything. And it's like, how do people make money anymore in this game?
The most expensive thing when GTA Online originally launched was like the Bugatti car, which was like worth 500,000 or something. And that was like, whoa.
Oh, that was the
500,000 when each mission you get 1,000.
Yeah, it's like that was the Adder, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was the Adder and the Centorno. Those were the two like mega cars back then.
Yes. Now they introduce a new car, 1 million for the cheapest car.
Yeah.
For the most expensive one, 10 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Which again, inflation-wise, it's easier to earn money now than it ever was. You can play one mission thing and earn 500,000 from it.
Yeah. Which is
pretty good-ish, but...
I mean, I earned my wealth in that game that I still retain to this day the scummy way. Not on my own accord. Not on my own accord. I was in a lobby and all of a sudden there was a hacker who just went, hey, I'm going to drop money on people, so I ended up with billions.
To me, GTA Online is the one game that I partake in that is the scummy company live service that preys off of people only through microtransactions game. I mean, so I always feel like a bit of a hypocrite whenever I critique any game that has that stuff.
Oh yeah, me too.
As it being scummy, and then I'll go back and play GTA Online again.
Oh yeah, for me that's World of Warcraft and Blizzard and Activision Blizzard, because when Activision acquired Blizzard, it was the same as like the whole fucking Rockstar thing. Yeah. Like Activision is microtransaction gods. Like they will put anything. Like World of Warcraft, instead of giving us actual playable content at the time, they would just put in a store mount that they probably spent like a week designing and rendering and stuff like that. Yeah. And they're like, hey, give us 25 euros for this really arbitrary amount that looks like something you can go and get in game. It's like, what? And at that point it's like, we're already paying you guys like 13 euros a month to play this game.
I guess the reason why content vaulting for me, I can't think of any other game thing wise, not game industry outside of the game wise, like Activision Blizzard abusing their workers. That's obviously the worst thing that can happen. The stories that have come out of that.
That was a situation with the woman killing herself.
It's still going on. It goes on every day in basically any big publisher.
Oh yeah, but it's like
the only one that ironically doesn't is EA, which by all accounts EA seems like a pretty sick place to work because you never hear anyone hearing anything like that.
Yeah, but the funny thing is EA is probably one of the biggest predatory microtransaction companies of all time with their FIFA and all that stuff. The FIFA packs, it's like
from FIFA alone they make billions. Yeah.
Literally, it's a bunch of kids taking mom's credit card and being like, I want to buy FIFA points.
Yeah, and Thomas, my brother, is still big into that. Every year he still buys the new FIFA, gotta pay them Ultimate Team card packs again.
But it's so gross. It's so gross that there's no carryover from the one game to the next, so people spend thousands on the first one game and then the next, and then like 9 months later the new one comes out and you have to start from scratch.
But even that to me is like, I don't know if I could consider that worse than content vaulting, because
I mean, yeah, content vaulting is literally like, okay, so people still play the older games and you can still play them for a lot longer than the new one comes out. Yeah. So there is still like relevancy there, where content vaulting just makes it irrelevant completely from that day.
Like as bad as FIFA is with them, whenever they bring out a new game, you have to restart your Ultimate Team thing again. No one ever does this, but if you want to go back and play some old FIFA game, you can. All that content will still be there.
Yeah, they still have, like, in that case, they also still have solo challenges that are exceedingly difficult that you can use your Ultimate Team to do. So that's, again, still content that's not needed with other players.
Whereas, what about Destiny 2, like, 20 years from now, when its servers eventually shut down? There's no way in hell that Bungie will preserve Destiny 2.
No.
Because they can't, because they've already content vaulted most of it.
Oh, yeah, they're going to axe it. Because they're, like, I'm calling it now, like, they're to retain player interest, they're going to try and release Destiny 3 in the next some years.
Oh, yeah.
Because Destiny 2 is not live service like Valorant and Fortnite, which will obviously never get sequels because they are live service, so they're just constantly updated. But, like, Destiny 2 is going to die in the next some years.
Yeah. And then when it does, say goodbye to Destiny 2 having ever existed.
Yeah, because you go back and play it, and it's just like, hey, the most recent year's worth of content is on there, and then the other fucking 5 years worth of stuff is just non-existent. But the thing is, like, they released Destiny 3, and I'm calling it, they're just going to do the same dance, same way again.
They may, because they're owned by Sony now, they may slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, we're going to do content vaulting, but it'll only be small stuff. It'll only be seasonal stuff, and they'll start that way. And then they'll slowly ramp it up again.
And then we're going to see expansion removals again that people probably have paid a €40 price tag for. And
then, hey, guess what, guys? Our new expansion is stuff from Destiny 2. Remember when that was a thing?
Hey, guys, you remember the Leviathan raid, the first ever raid in Destiny 2? Yeah, we're bringing that back in year 3 of Destiny 3. But it's like, it's
the thing we deleted.
Yeah. You remember that thing we took away from you guys? Well, here's your toy back now.
That is like you just described it right there. That is the modern video game company thing. And what EA does with their games, with FIFA specifically as well, they'll have something in the game, they'll take it out for like 2 years, and then go, guess what, guys? We're bringing in this new feature that you've never seen before. Please give us praise. And it's like, you took it out.
Yeah.
You're taking this old thing, putting it back in, and saying, hey, we listened to feedback. You took it out. No one said you should take it away.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I was still playing with that. Why did you take it from me? But, like, I think, like, Bungie is really the only company to have completely axed content before their game became irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because other games, like, they can make they make older content irrelevant in a way like WoW makes, like, old content in WoW is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, same with GTA Online.
But it's still there. You can go to every single area in WoW and do the quests and learn the story there and see everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just irrelevant to you, but if you want to go back and see it, you can.
Same thing with Old Republic, same thing with Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
You can go and play all that old stuff, like Old Republic. I've so far only just played like one character class's story, which is like one of the things that launched with the game. So that hasn't changed since 2012 when that game first came out. Yeah. But if it were like Destiny 2's case, it'd be just like, guess what? You can't play it.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you. Here's our new expansion that won't make any sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Because, like, again, like, some games, they don't have it, obviously. Like, AAA games, they don't really work on that theory. Like, the new Assassin's Creed games, like, they just kind of go with the DLC flow.
Well, that's the thing what makes it a slightly bit different now, which this is the one thing that could really date this discussion, is with what has just recently happened with Ubisoft. and that they're delisting DLC from games that you've bought. So they're taking part in content vaulting too, but it's not even from a live service game. It's from single player games.
From a single player, buy it once and get the story kind of game.
Yeah, it's from like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood or Revelations, the DLC for it.
Wait, they're just straight up removing the DLCs from the store?
Yeah, not the multiplayer stuff, because Brotherhood introduced multiplayer. That makes sense. No one's playing that multiplayer anymore. You don't want to keep those servers anymore. Fine.
Yeah.
No, the DLC.
Yeah, the single player DLC stuff.
The single player DLC they're deleting, not only to stop you from buying it, but from people who have bought it. You won't be able to have that DLC anymore.
God, I didn't actually know that. That's
this is like
rough.
Really recent. And
yeah, because I was playing Ubisoft like 2 days ago, because I still played the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I didn't finish the DLCs in that.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, in the future those are going to be gone.
Yeah, you better finish that DLC fast before they delete it too. Because like in the case of Assassin's Creed Revelations, there was a DLC for that was like a story DLC that talked about Desmond, the modern main character's past.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that good of a DLC, but it did give you more info about him. But now you just won't be able to play that DLC. Even if you bought it, you just won't be able to. Because they linked it to Uplay, and Uplay is such a garbage system that even Ubisoft have admitted, okay, we're going to stop it with Uplay. But instead of putting in any of the work to let you keep your DLC, we're just going to axe it.
Another great thing Ubisoft did was they did the Uplay Connect that they've made. It's a new thing, I think, because when I went on Ubisoft and it came into like this Ubisoft Connect whatever, and Assassin's Creed is prolifically a single player game for the most part. And in Odyssey there are people can make their own missions and you can play those, but to play the actual game you shouldn't need internet, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently the Ubisoft servers were down the other day. I couldn't play the game.
That's right. Yeah.
I couldn't actually open the launcher for the games.
Geez, dude, that's a whole other can of worms discussion there.
That is ridiculous.
Always online single player games, and EA is one of the biggest proponents of it all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the Tomb Raider games. Did EA make those? Or are they
that was Square Enix.
Oh yeah, that's Squeenix. Yes.
Yes, Squeenix.
The prolific nickname there. Yeah, Just Cause Tomb Raider.
It used to be until just recently when they sold all of their IP to go full in on NFTs.
Oh, that is a worn out discussion. NFTs. And do I understand them fully still? Hell no. I haven't paid attention to that discussion because I'm just like it's all over the place, and that's a worn out topic at this point, even though it's only been like half a year.
Yeah, I can't think of. I don't know. Is there anything else we can add to the content vaulting discussion? It sounds like we're pretty on the same side.
We've been pretty good around the block here.
Yeah,
and we have given the benefit of the I say benefit of the doubt, the tiniest benefit of the doubt to why it might be an idea.
That's true. We could have maybe gone a bit more into benefit of the doubt, but that's because it's tricky to think of any good.
Because for me, it's such behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Like with the whole managing game size and developmental and servers and all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like it's all behind the scenes stuff where the cons are what the players are seeing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is obviously where we come from. We're players. We're not game developers. So we don't see all the quote unquote or biggest air quotes possible advantages to it that they see.
Yeah. The most game dev experience I have is I made a Half-Life mod for a school project. And I made an Unreal Engine map for a university project. That is it. That is my game dev experience.
You and me have game dev experience from like That's a lot of years ago. This is back in like year 7.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
We made our little multiplayer.
Scratch.
Yeah, we made a multiplayer game on a old engine on the school computers.
That's true. I should retract my statement. I'm an official game dev.
We made a fully functional 2 to 4 player game.
Yeah, so we totally know where content vaulting is coming from because we're official game devs.
Yes, we know
on
everything
a professional
about
level. And even so, with us saying the content vaulting is bad, it means even on a professional level it's bad. So they have no excuse.
Exactly. We say this as officially unofficial game developers from, I don't know, 11 years ago.
Officially unofficial, professional, unprofessional game devs.
Exactly. And that's a real title.
Yeah, it's on my uni degree and everything.
Oh yeah, for me it says, on my CV, it just says, Soren, butcher and official, unofficial, professional, unprofessional game developer.
Proficient in Scratch.
Yes.
Unity, ?
Proficient in Windows 2000.
I've got a feeling that this content vaulting has hit its end.
Yeah, for sure. Like we've been around. We've talked about like all the sides of it, really.
Which, I mean, the end result here means that we're going to have to content vault this discussion. Going to have to go back and cut the first 20 minutes of discussion because this file size is growing too big right now.
Yep. So
you
sorry guys.
Understand. It's behind the scenes game dev stuff. You guys wouldn't understand.
Oh yeah.
Please don't ask us questions. Don't look into it.
So when you say, hey, but we paid for 50 minutes, yeah, well, you get half an hour. we had to axe the first 20 minutes to make space for the file, right?
Yeah. That's until 5 years from now when this podcast is still going to take up too much room, and then we're just going to delete it outright because no one's going to watch it anyway, right?
Oh, it'll become a 20-second promo at that point.
It'll be a Cliff Notes version to. We'll stick it on a new podcast to show this is the content you could have listened to.
But now you can't because this is the future, and we have vaulted everything that we ever did.
Yeah, we have decided that people didn't listen to it.
Yes. If you didn't listen to it, then well, tough cookie.
Because we know what you want. You think. We know what you think.
Exactly. We think for you.
Exactly. We think for you. And that's why content vaulting in Destiny needs to happen, because you guys can't think. We do the thinking for you.
We know what you like and what you don't like, so just roll with the punches. Because you trust me, in the end, you're going to be thankful.
Exactly, you're going to be thankful
for all the rehashed content we're going to do in the future. Because we're gonna record this podcast in a year.
Yeah, like we're going to re-record it in a year from now, and then. For the special 10-year anniversary, we'll do a 4K restoration of it.
Exactly.
By then it'll probably be like 8K. We'll do an 8K restoration of this podcast with still the first 20 minutes cut off because we content vaulted it, so we can't get it back.
Exactly.
So
cool.
I think this was a pretty good discussion. You should be grateful that we haven't content vaulted it.
Yes. In the midst of recording it.
I think that's the good conclusion to end on, is don't think. Content vaulting is good. Don't think about it. Yeah. The end.
The end.
Wow, we sound like a Bungie executive meeting right now.
Yeah. Do you think that this is just what it's like? They just sit down for like just an hour-ish and just kind of discuss how they know so much better than their entire player base?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Blizzard did the same thing. Where
Blizzard's been doing that since 2004. They pioneered it.
I can't remember which conference it specifically was, but someone said the quote, you think you want that, but we know you don't want that.
It was BlizzCon, and it was 2017, I believe. It was about Vanilla WoW coming back as like an official separate server. Oh, that's
right. Yep.
And they're like, WoW. Hey, you guys think you want this, but you don't. You know what they did the next year because of so much backlash because people wanted it? You know what flavor of ice cream I really like? Vanilla. That's how they announced it. and then people went nuts, and then they realized, hey, we weren't right. We were wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then when it came out, people played it for like 8 months, finished everything, and then they just quit it.
Oh, that's still 8 months of content.
And then they rehashed the first expansion, and now they're rehashing the second expansion for live service.
Of course.
Yes. It's just accelerated timelines.
Yeah, I think this was a very successful first episode on content vaulting. I thought we were only going to get like 15 minutes into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But nope. We really tapped into our inner Bungie game dev at the end there, and we finally came around to their way of thinking.
We tapped into our inner excuse making and stretched it for 58 minutes.
Yeah, because why not? That'll be the goal of this podcast in the end, is being on the side of the publisher, because they're the ones who really need it, right?
Yep, they're the ones who make the money, not the people buying their games or paying for all the microtransactions that are completely unnecessarily necessary.
Unnecessarily necessary by professional unprofessionals.
Yes. And next time we're going to talk about We Don't Know Yet. TBD.
Yeah, that's a good point. What should the next one be? Sorry. This is the next week's discussion bit just got cut because of content vaulting reasons. So
yes.
Bye.
Bye, guys.